years old, and we're one of the fastest growing renewable energy company now in India. We generate over 500 megawatts of clean energy, as we speak, the target is by the end of the year we're going to be crossing 1,000 megawatts. So we are delighted that in a short period of time we've been able to grow. I'm focusing a lot of my time on the CSR part of our business, and though I haven't really had a lot of experience, having spent some time over the last few years, I've just found it to be an area I've been able to connect with, and hopefully, we've been able to have an impact as well. I'd like to start by saying that, when you look at some of the statistics in India, and, we've got such experienced set of people attending this this gathering, that, I'm sure you're aware of these numbers. They've been mentioned in various panels, but, if you look at the number of women who live in rural India, I believe the number is close to 30% of our population. Women reside in rural India. About over 10% of the children in our country live in rural India. Rural India only contributes 37% to India's GDP. Whereas 70% of the total population lives in the rural areas. So, it's sort of almost half of the contribution, which is not proportionate, and I think it can be a lot more. So the sum and substance is that there is a lot to be juiced out as far as the rural area is concerned, and when we look at what's happening in India, India is one of the leading economies now in the world, and if you look at the industrialists we have, we're topping the list of the billionaires in the world. But when it comes to giving back, and giving back, I'm not referring to philanthropy, but in terms of impactful giving back, I think we have a long way to go. I think a lot needs to be done. When I was sitting and listening to some of the figures, the mind-boggling figures in terms of the number of schemes we have, the number of initiatives which are being taken, the amount of funds which are being committed to various projects, etc. Just as a lay person, one would imagine that we should have a transformed country by now, because it's a huge amount of funds, and even if a fraction of it were to be spent, effectively and efficiently, I'm sure rural India would be a far more progressive part of our country. And we would not have two countries, as was mentioned, Bharat and India. It would be Bharat and Bharat, or India and India. I mean, the disparity, I would imagine, would be a lot less. So, I guess, what I'm supposed to be speaking on today is the key areas for social and economic development in the areas of health, education, sports, renewable energy, sanitation, women empowerment, and childcare. These are very interestingly, most of these are an important part of our program. As I mentioned, our company is a fairly young company, just about 3 years old. And as far as the requirement is concerned, the CSR spend requirement is concerned, we were only required to meet it about just last year. Irrespective of that, that has never really been a benchmark for us. We've never been sort of capped by that. Our goal is basically to be able to engage with our community. And above all, and just for the record, we spend way over the 2% requirement. We're in the clean energy business, so we are in any case engaged in a renewable energy activity. But having said that, our idea is to basically be able to connect with the people and the communities we are going to engage with, not only when we start our businesses there, when we set up our sites there, but way before that, because the whole idea is to be able to understand the issues which people in the areas we are setting up our wind farms Anna Solar Farms, what are the issues they face, and what is it that we can do to have an impact in their life. And also often we've seen communities feel that large corporates like us come in and are there to take away from them. So before that feeling sets in, we believe that our programs should be up and running in such a way where people feel happy, satisfied, and hopeful about our being another sort of neighbor in the vicinity. For that, we've started, our CSR program is actually called Renew India Initiative. And our broad idea is that across the country, currently we are present in about 8 states in India. The states being Rajasthan, Haryana, Delhi, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Karnataka, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. And as I said, we generate 500 megawatts of clean energy by virtue of being present here and through our wind and solar initiatives in these areas. The idea about the Renew India Initiative idea is about being able to renew the communities we operate in primarily, but we're not again limited to that. We want to renew the lives of women. I'm very passionate about the cause of women. Being a woman and having grown up in a certain way, I do feel that I think if we empower women, if we educate women, I think we can have a transformational impact on our society, and a lot can be achieved, whether it is education, whether it is health and hygiene, whether it is sanitation, childcare, etc. So that forms a very important part of our Renew India Initiative program. And our Renew India Initiative program actually covers a lot of these sub-points of which we've covered in our panel today. We talk about renewing children through very innovative programs which we've put in place, renewing the environment, and the list is kind of a long one, but mostly speaking, being able to address these 3 or 4 key issues, we believe we can address a lot of the issues the communities in and around our sites face. And I will be kind of talking a little bit about the kind of work we are doing and how it's innovative and creative. And we've come up with something called the 3 I's, which is, one is identifying. So, we spend a lot of effort in assessment studies and identifying risks and identifying key issues which face the communities in which we want to enter and operate in. So that's the first I. Identify what is it that needs work. Second is for program implementation, it's innovation. Let's try and implement programs which are innovative, creative, where we can actually connect with the community. I think, if you look at historically, look at the CSR sort of, the concept of CSR, I think it's been prevalent since pre-independence, even in the 19th century, where you had the Tatas, the Birlas, Bajajs, etc., doing a lot of philanthropic sort of work. They did it because they were passionate about maybe a religion, about a cause, about a caste or whatever, and a lot of the work was centered around that. Then was a very interesting phase, and we heard comments on Gandhiji and the kind of work he had initiated, and it is very accurate to say that the kind of initiatives which took place during that time around independence and the kind of work which we are doing, women empowerment, sustainability and empowering people and so on and so forth, I think there's a lot of similarity between that phase and what we are trying to do now. Of course, the next 2 phases which you can categorize was public sector took a lead after independence, and that had its own limitations and wasn't as effective. And hence the private sector in the late 80s when, liberalization happened and, the world became globalization and so on and so forth. A lot of the multinationals who were looking to enter India wanted to, only work with people who had sustainable practices. There were labor sort of policies in place, being followed, etc., etc. So we saw some sort of progression during that time. Yet CSR was not effective enough. And currently we see that CSR is a lot of it is about kind of integrating CSR in the day-to-day running of a business, and it's not a separate spend, or it should not be a separate spend. And there is a belief that it is likely to be more effective and more impactful if it is integrated in the day-to-day running of a corporate. I think, I'm not going to go very sort of into the next level of the details, but just from a broader vision point of view, I think it's really important for corporates, big or small, to be able to leverage off the, ecosystem which exists in areas around which they operate. And whether it is, as Mr. Matthew just mentioned, partnering with the government in a significant way, or partnering with an NGO which is implementing the government's program, or partnering with other corporates who are prevalent and working in the areas where other corporates are working. I think when everybody works together, there is a possibility of maximizing and stretching the impact. And more importantly, it's also important for all these corporates not to just come in with their own mission. I think a big problem is that large corporates, and often the government as well, comes in with a certain mission. And often the mission is not bottoms up. It's not about what the people need. It's about what we want to do. And often there's no continuity, whether companies' plans change, their interest changes, their focus changes, or governments change, for whatever reason, there is a lot of disruption. So I think people in the rural area, at the grassroots, they know that people are going to come in for a bit, they're going to do something, and then their approach is, okay, let's try and extract as much as we can. And so the connection is not there. It's all about, okay, what is it that we can do of this? So I think it's really important for us to be able to connect with the communities, which is what at least we at Renew Power are trying to do. We are trying to connect, we are trying to measure impact, we are trying to take feedback, we are trying to empower the people, teach 1, teach 10 sort of programs where, it's all about getting the children to, kind of teach a child who may be good, and for that child to further teach the other children in the community, for women who are, I would imagine, slightly more, I would say, smarter than the other women who are there, to get, build awareness with a particular woman in a household, so that woman can further educate the family and hence contribute, and other women, and have a larger impact, feel empowered and feel connected. We believe that if we do that, it's probably going to be our effort is going to be more effective, and hopefully there's going to be more social and economic development in some of the areas we operate in. I don't know if I have more time, or is it over. So I do see that some of you are still awake. So for those who went off to sleep, apologies. But that's it.
Thank you, madam. May I now request Mr. Anil Bareja from Solar Power to give his views on the subject.
Everybody, chairman, dignitaries on the dais, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Anil Bareja, and in this session I am going to throw some light on solar energy and the future of solar energy in India, the rural electrification which is possible in India. A few years back, very few of us knew what is solar energy. Only few technical people had heard that there is some solar energy, कि भी हम सूरज से इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बना सकते हैं, कैसे बना सकते हैं, क्या कर सकते हैं, इसके बारे में कुछ साल पहले ही लोगों को कुछ नहीं पता था इसके बारे में। Even today, just recently, solar energy has become a favorite subject for everybody, for the government also, for people also, and many new developments are going on in this system. Now, what is solar energy basically? And why solar power? We need power for survival, industrialization, and country's growth. But the question is how to produce power without affecting the environment. The best answer is renewable energy. Among all the renewable energy sources, solar energy